Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm Macy Renee, and I'm so excited that you've decided to join us today. Whether you're brand new, welcome, or returning, thank you for being here again and again and again and again. I really do appreciate the love and support. So I'm recording a bunch of podcasts ahead of time, so I don't even know what will be going on in my life by the time that you listen to this, but hopefully, we will have secured a place to live. We will be moving or have moved. Like, seriously, I hope that that's what's happening by the time you listen to this episode. But I digress. We'll see. So today we're going to talk about soul, hell yes, and soul, hell no. I love talking about this. This is really going to be a podcast based on tapping into your intuition, being in tune with yourself. And it's something my clients hear me say a lot, because this is really important. I don't believe I've done a podcast episode on it. I've probably mentioned it in some episodes, but I don't believe that I have a full-blown episode about your soul hell yes and your soul hell no's. So let's talk about what this means. So as you guys know, I have a background in, there goes my dog. I have a background in Reiki energy healing and massage therapy work. And while I don't lead with that all the time in my coaching, it inadvertently does come up because we are human beings made of energy. God created us to be that way. You can feel people's energy whether they like it or not. People can feel your energy, whether you like it or not. And it's why they say, first impressions are everything, because it's usually never really about what you say or don't say. It's about your presence and how you show up in the world. It carries an energy. You will feel it if you get around someone who is very confident and carries themselves with a lot of, bubbliness or happiness. Like, you can feel that. And you can feel it whenever you're around the opposite of someone who's maybe like Eeyore, right? Or like, woe is me, life sucks. Like, you can feel it, and I'm not saying one is better than the other, because we all have emotions that ebb and flow and go up and down. And we may have time periods in our life where we're at a low, and it doesn't have to be a problem. But people can certainly pick up on our energy when we're in a low versus a high, or a high versus a low. We're reading and feeling into energy all the time. Now, some people are better at this than other people. And what I have found over years and years of practice as a Reiki practitioner and as a coach is that the people who are really, really in tune with this are, one, like masters of empathy. So if they take the emotional intelligence test, their empathy line is really big and their score's really big in this area. And so they fill into other people's emotions very easily. And it's a blessing and a curse. If you are full of empathy, and I am as well. And it's a blessing and a curse because on the one hand, you can relate to people. You can be around any type of person just about and be able to understand them and what they're feeling. And you feel for them because you feel as if you're living the experience right alongside them. But the downfall of that is that a lot of times, if you don't have boundaries and you don't know anything about boundaries, you take on the other person's emotional experiences, good or bad, and you carry it. And as a result, you live your life feeling very drained from other people. So having empathy is a really great skill and a part of emotional intelligence, but it's also important to have balance. So for my people that, have taken the EQ assessment that I offer through, you coaching one-on-one with me or in a group, If it's really big compared to your other lines, that means that you're off balance a little bit. And that's probably why you're feeling the way that you're feeling in your life. So, bringing it back to the topic at hand, we feel people's energy all of the time. And one of the things that is important in our intuition and kind of knowing ourselves is understanding our emotional experiences and having emotional self-awareness. This is another thing that is required in order to be really tapped into your own experiences and the experiences of others. So again, going back to the EQ assessment, if someone's empathy is really high, typically so is their emotional self-awareness. They are aware of their own emotions and therefore they're able to hold space for other people's emotions. Now, if I get someone's EQ assessment back and their emotional self-awareness is on the lower side or their empathy is on the lower side, what those clients may tell me is I don't feel tapped into my intuition. I don't trust myself. I second guess my decisions. And as a result, their decision-making composite on that assessment is also typically low in one or all areas. So, really important to look at this. And the more that you're willing to lean in and do the work, and as we talked about previously, open your locker of feelings, you will become really good at getting in tune with your soul hell yes and your soul hell no. So, let's talk about what this actually means. So, in life, you make decisions all the time. Okay? In life, you make decisions constantly. You're either saying yes to a lot of things or no to a lot of things or a blend of both. And sometimes we say yes because we really mean yes, and sometimes we say no because we really mean no. But sometimes we say yes because we're people pleasing, and sometimes we say no because we're people pleasing. And the more that we become disconnected to our truth and what we want, the more blurry these lines become, and the more our body has difficulty making strong, powerful decisions from a soul hell yes and a soul hell no. Okay, so what this looked like in my life is a lot of times I overexerted myself. I overextended myself. If someone asked me to show up for them, it didn't matter if I was tired, if I was mentally and emotionally depleted, if I didn't want to, it didn't matter. If someone asked me prior to coaching, I would have showed up and done anything for anybody, even at my own mental and emotional expense, at my own financial expense, any expense, because what I was seeking was to be liked, loved. I wanted to be validated. I wanted to make sure people were happy with me because their emotions about me made me feel a certain way, right? I gave a lot of people my power, and I put a lot of my own responsibility on other people to make me feel good. So if someone asked for something, even if I was just like, oh my God, even if my soul was like, hell no, what I would often do is say, yeah, sure, I'll do that. In that voice, yeah, sure. Like whenever you're like, oh, I don't really want to, but I'm going to say yes because I'm just afraid of hurting their feelings. I'm afraid of, what they'll say if I don't do it. Or I've said yes for a really long time. If I say no, they're going to be mad at me, or whatever the reason was. It didn't really matter. The point of the matter was my initial gut reaction was no. And then a lot of times I went above and beyond and ignored that soul hell no and went with a little tiny squeaky yes. Like, yes, I will do that. And then while I was doing the thing, it'd either be great and it'd be fine, or I'd be like hating myself for saying yes when I really wanted to say no, or saying no when I really wanted to say yes. So to give you an opposite of when I would say no, a lot of times money dictated my no. So what this looked like for me is, let's say a coaching program came up that I really wanted to do. And then I, would think about my bank account, and I would think about how scary it would be to invest. And so in the moment, like when I would see the coaching program and I would hear about it and I'd learn about it, my whole body would be like, hell yes. hell to the yes. I need that. I want to work with that coach. Hell yes to that investment. And then my logical brain would kick in and it would try and protect me. And it would say, if you spend that, you're only going to have, $150 in your bank account until the next payday. You're too broke. You don't get to do it. And so money would decide my decisions. Like money would make the decisions for me. And I hated that because my soul would be like, it's a hell yes, I want to do it. But then all quote, quote, logic and fear and scarcity would say no. And so when I would see this program start, then I would have all the negative emotions and then I'd get into a really icky, yucky energy and it would really impact me for a long time. So you can be a soul hell yes, you can be a soul hell no, but the point of the matter is that your body, your mind is always communicating with you, and especially your body. And when we're talking about the chakras, which we did a few episodes back, it's your sacral chakra that is like this hell yes or hell no. That is the area of your body where it is your decision maker. And whenever it's open and flowing and healthy and the way that it should be, remember how we talked about how when you're not dealing with the stuff in your locker or you're not feeling your feelings or you're not addressing your stuff in life that's really bothering you, you end up slowing the energy of the sacral chakra down. You end up, getting to a place where your body will basically, it'll become sick enough in that chakra to slow down or stop that flow altogether. And usually what happens is clients are like, I don't trust myself at all. I don't feel like I can make decisions. I usually lean on other people to make decisions, or if I do make a decision, then I second guess whether or not it was the right decision, or I start to get anxiety that I made the wrong decision or that someone's going to judge me for the decision. And so it's like they have no trust in themselves to make a powerful decision, because they haven't addressed their stuff in their life. And so now this chakra is sickly, right? Quote, quote, sickly. And it's impacting their ability to trust their yeses and their nos. So when this chakra is healthy, when you're really in tune with your intuition, when you're really emotionally self-aware, instead of that second guessing all the time, you will be very in tune with when a decision needs to be made or someone asks you a question or there's some sort of circumstance that comes up in life. Your body will very clearly communicate, this is a hell yes, or this is a hell no. It will do that for you. And what's so important is whether or not you follow your hell yes or your hell no before your brain gets involved. So important. I cannot reiterate that enough. Follow your soul hell yes and your soul hell no's before the brain gets involved and starts, offering stories and fear and what ifs and all of the things. Because let me tell you something, your intuition and your soul hell yes and hell no do not misguide you. It's like a mother's intuition. It's like when you know something's wrong and the doctors or medical people are saying nothing's wrong with your kid. And you're like, no, there's no way. Like, I know my kid. I can't describe it. I know that the tests are saying nothing is showing up. But I am telling you that in my gut, in my soul, something's off. My kid's not behaving normally. My kid's not acting normal. Like, please. And you might have to beg for a while. And then a lot of times, like, they'll eventually find the thing, right? Or you will discover what it is. And you're like, I should have never, ever questioned my own intuition because a mama's instinct is so strong. So it's the same concept, but instead of applying it to your children, it's applying it to you. You have that strong intuition ability with your own body. Unless you are pushing a bunch of stuff in your locker and ignoring all of the things that you need to be dealing with. And by the way, if the locker reference is throwing you off, it's the previous episode, so go and listen to that. But if you're shoving all your stuff away, if you're not dealing with the things you need to be dealing with in your life, if you're running on autopilot, if you are buffering instead of facing the what I call the gap work, keeping you from your highest self and who you want to be, then yes, it's going to be very hard to tap into your soul hell yes or hell no. But what is so important, like I said, is when you get that initial response, like, I want to do it, I want to say yes. That's a soul hell yes, right? And then what happens is after that, then all the logic kicks in and it takes you away from the thing that your highest self said is the next step. That's the thing. Your soul hell yes and your soul hell no are connected to your highest self, the person you are looking to embody and become. It knows you. It knows the desire of your heart and soul. It knows the decisions that are going to be best for you. That's why you get the intuitive hit of hell yes or hell no. Okay? And what goes wrong is that after you have that, then your brain says, but what if this? But what if that? But that's not going to be a smart decision. That's not logical. So-and-so's not going to be happy if you make that decision. Or it comes with a lot of risks. Or we can't predict what's going to happen. Okay? And here's what happens. When you allow your brain to do that to you, what you teach to your sacral chakra, what you teach to your body is, I don't trust my intuition. That's what you end up teaching your body, okay? And the more that you do this and the more that you've done this over time, it becomes less and less clear when it's time for you to make decisions. However, the opposite, when you start working on all of this, you will become very sharp with, I know exactly what my soul is telling me to do. I know exactly what my hell yeses and hell nos are. And there will be things in your life that you automatically know this for. So like, for instance, it's your belief systems, right? It's made up also of your belief systems. So like, for instance, if, someone is okay with having multiple partners in a relationship, and if I were to even verbalize that to you, like, it's okay to have multiple partners in a relationship. You don't have to be monogamous with one person. Like, let's just say I just say that statement out loud. Right now, listening, you likely have a gut hit of, hell yes, I agree. Or hell no, what in the hell is she talking about, right? So we have belief systems that we're made up of also, where we get that hell yes and hell no. Like, hell yes, I can go for that, or hell no, I cannot. Okay? And it's always worth exploring, but always listen to that first inkling that you have. Okay? So like, another example that I can give you is when I was an occupational therapy student, okay? We had to do 6 months worth of internships. So we had to spend 3 months at one location and 3 months at another location. And my first location was in Corbin, Kentucky, in totally the country part of Kentucky, with the nicest people ever. I loved everyone there. When I got that placement, I was really dreading it because I didn't want to be in like the hospital setting. Or like inpatient rehab setting. However, I ended up actually really enjoying my time because I loved the people that were mentoring me and helping me grow into an occupational therapist, and I loved my patients there. And then my second 3-month internship was in Columbus, Ohio at Nationwide Children's Hospital. And here's what I will say is that I loved the work of working with children. And that was a soul hell yes for me immediately. I was so excited for that placement. But in a hospital setting, I was a soul hell no. And here's what I will tell you. Like, I knew probably within 3 weeks of being there that there was no amount of money that hospital could have offered me. And I'm talking, my brain went to like extremes. Like, even if they offered me $200,000 a year, which is insane, right? To be an occupational therapist, not gonna happen, right? But even if they did, I would not want to work here. And not because it wasn't a like when I tell you that it was a fabulous hospital, like if you're in Ohio, especially anywhere near Columbus, Nationwide Children's Hospital is a top-notch experience. It is so, like, the way that it runs, or at least did whenever I was there in 2015, is phenomenal. The staff, phenomenal. Doctors, phenomenal. Like, everything about it was really, really good, but the thing that my soul just could not get on board with was being in a work environment surrounded by like four walls, essentially, like in hospital walls, and not being able to like create my own schedule and go out on my own time. So this, I think, is what has like also led me to being an entrepreneur, right? Like my soul hell no of four walls, like being trapped with four walls as an employee or whatever, is so strong that there truly is not an amount of money that someone could pay me to want to do it. That is how strong my hell no is for that. It is a soul, I'm not going to effing do it. Like, I just will not. I would rather create my own schedule, be an entrepreneur, fail, and have $0 months where I'm crying than someone paying me $250,000 to be within those four walls doing something that is making me feel crazy inside. So like, I loved working with the kids, and I loved the hospital itself, and I loved the employees, but the setting alone made me feel so depressed and so awful that it was like pulling teeth walking in there every day. Like, if I could have quit, I would have. Seriously, I thought about it every day. And in fact, every day to get through my experience there as a student so that I wouldn't quit school was thinking about how the light was at the end of the tunnel. Like, I would go in every day and I would think, you only have X amount of weeks left. Then you only have 8 weeks left of school. And then you're done and you will have your degree and you can go work with babies and create your own schedule as an early intervention therapist. You can go in the homes, you can, collaborate with the parents, which is what you're going to love. You're not going to have to see the kids sick. You're not going to be stuck looking out the window wishing you could go outside. It's almost over. It's almost over. And I would have to tell myself that every day. And so when I walked out on the last day of my internship there, I cannot tell you, I can still feel to this day the exhale that I took. And I remember getting on the shuttle, because you had to ride a shuttle bus to the parking lot. And I remember thinking, even if the HR department said, Macy, you were an excellent student, let's pay you $250,000 a year to be an OT for us. Like, even if that was in the realm of possibility, I knew there was no amount of money that I would say yes to. There was just no amount of money. So I know that I've beaten that like a dead horse, but that is when you know that's a soul hell no. It's just a hell effing no. And I can confidently say that. And that was really when I discovered what a soul hell yes and a soul hell no meant. And a soul hell yes for me was when I realized I could be an entrepreneur. I could go out there, I could create my own schedule, I could work from home, I could help people change their life, I could do, yes, scary things. And it also could mean that I make $0 a month for multiple months in a row. And, and that was scary, but it felt like a hell yes. It felt like hell yes, put me in the trenches, let me flail, let me fall, let me see if I, hit my face on the ground, and it would still be a hell yes for me. But I didn't know how to get to this place until I was willing to really explore the depth and the range of my emotions. Because for a very long time, what actually happened was I would make decisions from, again, a people pleasing place, or what somebody else wanted for my life, or expectations of society, or expectations from my family. It was the same way whenever I decided to walk away from occupational therapy. I think if I consulted my family and even maybe my husband, not so much my husband because he has watched me grow over the years, but maybe earlier on, if I would have said I'm going to walk away right now, and I had consulted with other people, like, I would have taken their opinions, which would have been do the safe thing, stay in the safe job, even though I know you feel a little bit miserable sometimes, but making $0 a month is just not a good thing. It may never work. It doesn't work for everybody. I would have taken that to heart, and I would have let it muddy my decisions, my hell yes and hell no. And if I do that long enough in my life, then I don't trust myself to make decisions, and I become reliant on other people's advice and other people's opinions to make my decisions. And this brings me to a very important point about coaching, is that when you hire me, I am never there to give you the answers and to give you advice on what you should do. That would be mentorship. Okay? I don't do mentorship. I'm going to give you advice, and I'm going to tell you the answers, and I'm going to tell you what you need to do. I ask tons of questions, probably to the point of obnoxiousness with my clients, and I help them uncover their own wisdom, because the goal is not to further muddy their decision-making process by following my life process. That is not what coaching is about. Coaching is to help them get clear on their soul hell yes and hell no through exploring their own inner wisdom and clearing out anything that is keeping them from trusting the wisdom that they have in their life. They know the decisions that need to be made for their life. Their soul knows that. Their highest self knows that. It would be a disservice to them for them to hire me and be like, I think you should do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because that's what I did in my life. That's what's working in my life. That would not serve them at all. What serves them is them showing up and being willing to explore what's keeping them from what their highest self truly desires, and even learning how to listen in to what their highest self desires, right? Their highest self will tell them everything that, they want, but it will also show them what is keeping them from having it, right? What's blocking them from actually having it. And they will know what's blocking them based on how they're currently showing up and the results they're currently getting. So we work on all of that together to clear out and get very, very crystal clear on, what decisions would you make if you weren't afraid of other people's judgment, if you weren't afraid of the finances, why did I say it like that? The finances. If you weren't afraid of your money, if you weren't afraid of your finances, if you weren't afraid of what other people are thinking, if you weren't having stories around I don't have enough time, if you weren't having all of these limiting beliefs, what would your gut have you do right now? And we explore that together. So I hope that this helps bring more clarity to soul hell yes and soul hell no. It's very much that quick, immediate decision. It's the same thing like when someone gets on a consult, a lot of times they might not realize this, but their gut will have an immediate reaction of, yes, that sounds like exactly what I need. That's exactly what I want. Let's do it. Or their gut will tell them, no, it's a hell no. She's not my person. Maybe it's not a hell no to coaching, but maybe it's a hell no because Macy's just not my person. And that's okay, right? That's the purpose of a consult, is also to get someone to their soul hell yes or hell no. I'm either the person for you or I'm not. I either have what you desire to, utilize to work on, or I do not. And your soul will tell you that on the phone. But what often gets in the way is that people have gone against their decisions for so long in their life that it's muddied and they really don't know how to make a decision. And that's another part of a consult, is me asking the tough questions so they can discover, like, am I holding myself back because I'm believing these limits and because I'm fearful and because my brain is trying to protect me? Or is it truly a no or a yes because I am tapped into, what my highest self wants? And there's a very, fine line between that distinction. And so the more that you are leaning into the self-awareness work, the more clear this will become. So I hope that this episode helps you. If it has benefited you, if you have loved it, share it with friends, share it with people who need it, share the podcast with anybody you think needs it. Tag me if you do. You can snapshot it, post it on Instagram, post it on Facebook. I love knowing when you're listening. I love when listeners reach out and introduce themselves to me and just say, hey, I'm a listener of the podcast, and, whatever else you want to say. I love that. I love knowing that you're listening. I love knowing, what part of the world you're in and how in the world you even found the podcast. So never feel like you can't reach out and just say hi and introduce yourself. If you ever want to schedule a consult, do so on MacyRenee.com. And if you're loving the content here, what I would love to ask of you is to leave me a review on Google. I'm going to put the link in the show notes, and you just click that link, write a testimony of how the podcast is helping you or how coaching is helping you if you're actually working with me. I would so appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I love you guys, and I thank you so much for being here, because without all of you, my soul hell yes isn't even possible, right? So my soul hell yes tells me what I would love to do with my life. And then people that come into my life make it possible for me to live out the life that I want. And I want to do the same for you, no matter what your soul hell yeses look like, your soul hell knows, and your highest self, because your vision can be completely different from mine. And the work that feels so valuable to me is helping you explore what's keeping you from your soul hell yes right now. What's keeping you from having it all and doing it all and experiencing everything you want right now. So if you're ready to work on this together, reach out to me, and I can't wait to talk to you again. See you next week.